Hello everyone, this is Kane532 from RivalGamer.com, bringing with you a series of tutorials that you can do with your newly jailbroken PlayStation 3. First is going to be the conversion from CEX to DEX. The biggest advantage to converting over to DEX is being able to debug your games in real time so you can develop tools for them. First thing we're going to need to do is install our Rebug toolbox. It's included with every version of the Rebug firmwares. You can go over to install package files and install it from the PS3 system storage. Once that's installed, run it. From here, we're going to go all the way over to the Utilities tab. Make sure that Toggle QA flag has been enabled. Go all the way down and export flash to file. Make sure that you have a USB drive plugged into the rightmost slot of your PlayStation 3 before you do this. Once that's completed, go down and dump your EID root key. You need both of these files to successfully modify your PlayStation 3 and get it onto DEX. Your PlayStation 3 will go black, beep several times, and then reload itself. Once your PlayStation 3 is rebooted, we're going to go back into the Rebug toolbox. So once you get everything over there, we're going to go down to DEX to CEX, and we're going to rewrite target ID in Flash. As long as the EID root key was dumped successfully, you'll get this pop-up bar. Hit yes, and then we're going to go to swap LV2 kernel, and hopefully you'll get LV2 kernel successfully changed to DEX. From here, it's going to reboot your PlayStation 3. Once your PlayStation 3 is rebooted, we're going to go back to the Rebug toolbox for another time, just to make sure that everything was successful. From here, all you got to do is check your system information. As you can see, the PS3 system firmware is 481 DEX, LV2 kernel is DEX, and target type is DEX. So that means we have successfully converted our PlayStation 3 from CEX to DEX. From here, go over to your system files, your selector, and you can start changing a couple of settings. I would recommend putting your system mode on Rebug, and you can disable, enable any of the other functions on here that you please. We'll keep Cobra mode enabled so that we can launch games through Webman. One additional thing, make sure that you do change your debug menu type to DEX, and you'll see why here momentarily. Once that's done, hold the circle button and quit back to the XMB. Now there was an issue for me, particularly, that I was stuck scratching my head at for several hours. Found that even with a disc inserted into the PlayStation 3, it wasn't coming up. No matter what I did, no matter how many times I reinstalled the custom firmware, so on and so forth, looking online everywhere, I finally found one thing that definitely fixed it. So, As of right now, I do have a game in the disk drive. but it's not coming up. You don't see it here. Even if I go into multi-man, it won't come up. What we need to do is dash over to our debug settings. This is again why we wanted to make sure to enable the debug DEX settings from Rebug Toolbox. Go down a good ways, and you'll see Blu-ray disc drive access. Now, it's either going to be on USB or BD drive. For us, it wasn't really working right, and it was on BD emulator USB. So you switch it over to BD drive, and you reset your PlayStation 3. Now, as you can see, we have our disk. It's very important you want to check for your update. I do indeed have the latest version already installed. I did that before I started recording. You can see that here. From here, we're going to jump over to the PlayStation, or to the desktop side, and we're going to get everything set up to actually mod this game. So, over on the desktop side of things, we just need a couple things installed. One of which is going to be the Prodigy and Target Manager. This is going to be our debugger and target manager. We need both of these to actually debug the game and find those higher functions that I mentioned before. I won't be able to link you the link for this installation file, but it's pretty easy to find. I'll leave a description on how to do that on the description bar of this video. But once you get all that downloaded, installed, and so on and so forth, we'll open up Target Manager. We need to find our console. We can already see it right here, but what you need to do is your IP from box needs to be your lowest local IP address. Most people it's going to be 192.168.1 or 0. For me, it's 0. Over here, the last digit needs to be 255. So the last digit here is 0, last digit here is 255. This is the only one that may or may not change for you. Go up here, hit refresh, and it will search for your console. Again, because we've already found mine, we're going to skip that part. Go to Move to Group, Debugging Station, then go up here, Add Target. Now we see that our console is right here, ready to go. Target Manager is going to take some time to read some basic settings, and then you'll see an arrow right here. Click that arrow, and we should be able to connect. Now that that's out of the way, what we're going to do is go into our FTP browser once again. Once that's loaded up, we're going to take this time to back up our flash and our EID root key. So take your NOR flash from the USB drive and drag it over to your desktop wherever. Then we're going to go to HDD0, go down to the game folder. This is where all of our updates are held. We're going to go to the toolbox 2, USR-dir, take your root key, and drag that into your backup folder as well. Back all the way out to your back in your game directory. This is where we need to find the game directory that we're going to be modding from. You can sometimes do this by finding the last modified date if you don't understand what it is. There's other ways that we can do this, but this is usually the easiest. Once you get in here, go into the USR-dir. Here's the interesting thing and the reason why I chose the Metal Gear Solid HD collection. Most games run off of a single eboot.bin. You'll hear the term debug eboot thrown around a lot in the modding scene. But this particular game uses the eboot.bin as a loader for the first 3 games. So from here, what we need to do is figure out which of these games that we want to mod. In this case, we're going to be using the MGS2 game. We're going to take this, drag it straight to our desktop. We can minimize both of these windows now. Here, we're going to go into our True Ancestor Self Resigner. Again, I'll provide a link to this in the description. Go into your Self folder here, and drag mgs2.self in. Go to Resigner, and then from here, we want to look at option 4, Decrypt Self SPRX Only. So we're going to hit 4, we're going to hit 1, and it will decrypt. That's done. Go back into the Self folder, and you'll see the .elf file. We're going to copy that, bring it over into the make fself file folder. From here, you want to hold down Shift and right click on your mouse, and depending on which version of Windows you have, right here will either say Open PowerShell or Open Command Prompt. What we need to do here is type make _ fself.exe. Then we're going to use whatever our file name is, and then what we want it to be. The easiest thing to do would be, in this case, we are going to rename it eboot.bin, because we want to make sure it's the first thing that the PlayStation 3 tries to run. Once that's done, you'll see we have an eboot file here. We're going to go back to our FTP browser. Find your eboot.bin and rename it something. This way we always have a backup. Drag that right in. Once that's done, we can head back over to the PlayStation 3 and actually get our hands started on modding. That will be in the next video. I'll see you all there.